The Yemen Arab Republic was created in 1962 after the previous ruler, Crown Prince Muhammad al-Badr, was killed by revolutionary forces. Egypt was a huge help in the Yemen Arab Republic's fight for power, supplying them with troops and supplies. Saudi Arabia and Jordan supplied Badr's royalist forces. The conflict lasted until 1967 when Egypt withdrew their forces. Throughout the 1960s, Britain was trying to incorporate all of the Aden Pectorate territories into the Federation. Aden was incorporated even though most of its citizens were against the Union. After Aden, more states were added to form the Federation of South Arabia. The states that refused to join became the Pectorate of South Arabia. In 1963, the National Liberation Front tried to force British-led, Saudi-financed rebels out of the country. On December 10, 1963, the guerrilla forces launched a grenade attack against the British High Commissioner, killing 1 and injuring 50. In response, Britain declared a state of emergency, which became known as the Aden Emergency. The British moved into the Radfan Hills on the border to confront Egyptian guerrillas in January of 1964. In response, the guerrillas targeted off-duty military personnel and police officers. After Harold Wilson took power of Britain in 1964, he planned to give power of Yemen to the Federation of South Arabia in 1968, while still keeping military forces in Yemen. However, in 1964, there were 280 guerrilla attacks and over 500 in 1965. Because of this, Britain announced that they would be withdrawing all military forces from Yemen. Once Britain's military left Yemen, the security situation quickly fell apart, and the Socialist Front for the Liberation of Occupied South Yemen started attacking the National Liberation Front in an attempt to gain power. In 1967, Yemen temporarily closed the Suez Canal, which eliminated Britain's last interest in Yemen and forced them to withdraw. On June 20, 1967, there was a mutiny in the Federation of South Arabia Army. Even though Britain is responsible for regaining order, guerrilla attacks resumed and Britain was defeated and eradicated from Aden by the end of November 1967. Due to the lack of social structure, the Federation of South Arabia collapsed and South Yemen became independent as the People's Republic of South Yemen. The National Liberation Front gained total control of the new state after a long drawn-out campaign of terror against the Socialist Front for the Liberation of South Yemen. In June of 1969, the Marxist wing of the National Liberation Front gained power of South Yemen. On December 1, 1970, the National Liberation Front changed the name of South Yemen to the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen, and all political parties were unified into the Yemenite Socialist Party, which became the only legal political party. The People's Republic of Yemen established close ties with the Soviet Union, the People's Republic of China, Cuba, and radical Palestinians. The communist powers helped form the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen's armed forces. Because of this, the USSR was granted access into naval facilities in South Yemen. Although North and South Yemen's relations were often strained, they remained civil, unlike East and West Germany. In 1972, the two Yemens declared that they had plans to eventually unify, but in October of 1972, North and South Yemen broke into war, with the North being supplied by Saudi Arabia and the South by the USSR. The war was short-lived and was ended by the Cairo Agreement on October 28, 1972, which once again made plans for the North and South to unify. Another war broke out in February of 1979 when South Yemen was allegedly supplying rebels in North Yemen. This conflict only lasted until March of '79, with the Arab League of Intervention being credited for the ceasefire. South Yemen forgot to mention that in the event of a unification, they planned to be the dominant political power, and left-wing rebels in North Yemen began to receive extensive arms and funding from South Yemen. In 1980, Ali Nasser Muhammad took power of South Yemen, and the previous leader, Abdul Fattah Ismail, was exiled. Ali Nasser took a less violent position regarding North Yemen, and on January 13, 1986, a violent conflict broke out between supporters of Ali Nasser and Ismail, who wanted power back. The fighting started in the seaport town of Aden and lasted over a month and resulted in thousands of casualties. The ousting of Ali Nasser and the death of Ismail. About 60,000 people, including Ali Nasser, fled to North Yemen. In May of 1988, North and South Yemen made the first steps towards unification by establishing a joint oil exploration area along the border, allowing citizens to pass from North to South Yemen with only a national identification card. In November of 1989, the leaders of North and South Yemen agreed to draft a unity constitution originally drawn up in 1981. On May 22, 1990, North and South Yemen united and became the Republic of Yemen, with Ali Abdullah Saleh as the president. For the first time in centuries, Yemen was politically united. A 30-month transitional period was enacted to finish the unification of the two political and economic systems. A unity constitution was ratified in May of 1991 and affirmed Yemen's commitment to free elections, a multi-party political system, the right to own private property, equality, and respect of basic human rights under law. Parliamentary elections were held on April 27, 1993, and Parliament included 143 members from North Yemen, 69 from the South, 63 from Islah, which is a Yemenite group for reform made up of tribal and religious groups.